welcome to this happiness hour where we are honored to have with us Emily Kent from the fabulous Pilobolus Dance Theater Company. Pilobolus, if you have not seen them, please check them out. They were recently in Minneapolis at Northrop Dance, and just an unforgettable performance as they one of the things I was just thrilled to learn about was they had, as a dance theater company, created a program called Connecting with Balance, taking lessons from their exceptional poetry of movement that is kind of a combination of calisthenics and all kinds of amazing things, and then being able to bring it to us mere mortals. And what's important for us mere mortals is balance, strength, and flexibility. And it's the one thing I learned as kind of the medical director or the chief expedition medical officer of the National Geographic's Blue Zones is how important balance, strength, and flexibility is for healthy aging. And we work on it now for 20 years from now. And so I'm thrilled that there's a program that we can all be joining. The next 12 weeks of programming begins April 5th with Pilobolus Dance Theater Company and with Emily Kent. Now, I'm going to pass the baton to Emily here, who's now going to lead us through kind of self-assessment and a variety of things that we can be doing and learning. And my greatest hope is that you will find value in this and will consider signing up for the Pilobolus Connecting with Dance program with Emily. The next 12-week series starts April 5th. And so once a week for 12 weeks. And that this can all be done by Zoom, etc. I'm thrilled Emily is here with us today. Emily is the education director for the world-famous Pilobolus Dance Theater Company, and a creator of the Connecting with Balance program. Emily, I will just bow out and be one of the avid listeners and participants here. And thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
I was muting myself. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm so thrilled to be here sharing this program with you. I'm going to give you a brief little history about Connecting with Balance, which is a program I've been developed about 10 years ago. It started off as just a program we did in our local community. So I've taught this to hundreds of folks in the greater Litchfield County area in Connecticut. That's where Pilobolus is based. We don't work in New York City or some bustling metropolis. We're country people living out in the woods, which we love. But this program started as an idea, like, could we create something that was for people who maybe weren't dancers, maybe who were older than who you typically think of as starting to dance and move, and what could we give as Pilobolus? And if you've ever seen a photo, and if you haven't, you can look us up on YouTube or Google, and everything we do is about working together with another person. It's about sharing weight. It's about finding these incredible balancing postures and movements. And while I'm not going to ask you to push anyone up over your head in this class, I really think that movement is for everybody of any age. And this program is really designed to help you connect or reconnect to your body and what it can do. It can be scaled, right, depending on where you are today. If you're somebody who is constantly moving and exercising, if you're coming back from an injury, if you haven't been a mover, all of what we're going to do today is possible for you. I'm going to give you lots of different variations on things. But I do want you to take a moment and just think, okay, do I have space that's clear? I can't stand not being in the space with you all, so I can't look out for any little things. Just make sure there's nothing laying around or a rug turned up that might trip you up. have something nearby. I'm sitting here in this chair. We're going to use this in a second. Have a chair. We're going to sit and do some mobility work. We'll also use the back of the chair to hold on. And really just constantly reassess for yourself, how do I feel in this movement, right? We're not all 100% beginner or 100% advanced level balanced people, right? There's a range of the way we're feeling day to day and even within different movement types. So just check in with yourself. And if you ever feel dizzy or think, maybe I shouldn't do this, you can just sit out, you can watch. That's the beauty of Zoom. Nobody else will know. You can even put your camera off if you would prefer not to be seen. All right. We're going to start with a couple of assessments, especially since this is just a demo class, kind of get your taste for it. It might be good to kind of sense where you are today. So we're going to stand up and go ahead and have your support, your chair or the wall or a countertop near you. And the first assessment we're going to do is a one leg standing balance. So I want you to hold on, doesn't matter which leg you start with. I want you to hold on to something and go ahead and pick a leg up off the ground. And it doesn't have to be up high. It can be anywhere that's floating off the ground. It can be touching your other leg. And then you are going to look out in front of you and then gently take your hand off the support. And I'm just going to time us. We're hoping for more than 30 seconds on this leg. That's about 10. That's about 20. If you've had to touch down, that's okay. Just note for yourself about where that was. And that's 30. Good. Everybody take a break. You just note for yourself, or you can even jot it down. Oh, I was standing on my right leg or my left leg. I could do this long. And then we're going to do the same thing for the other side. All right. So you're just going to get in that stance, hold on to something as you're getting set up, look out in front of you, maybe focus on something on the wall or that's in front of you, and then gently take your hand away. Try to keep the rest of your body relaxed, your arms relaxed. Don't tense up your shoulders. That's about 10. That's about 20. And that's about 30. Okay, relax for just a second. If you want to jot that down, you can. You can also just think. Most people tend to have one leg that is their balance leg. There will be one side that might be a little easier than the other to do. Someone told me once, and this is totally true for me. If you imagine somebody kicking a ball to you and you were going to kick it back, whichever leg you would kick your foot with, the other one is your balance, more stronger balance leg typically. So that is our one leg balance assessment. Really, the goal is to try to be 30 seconds or higher. If you're not there yet, that's okay. That's not like an average number. That's just a goal number, and it's something you can work towards. We're going to do another standing balance. This is actually going to be eyes closed. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to pick what foot position works best for you. All right. So the most comfortable, the most stable position is going to be feet underneath your hips. A little bit harder is going to be feet together, right? Harder than that is going to be what I call the kickstand, where you're mostly standing on one leg with the toe propped behind. That could be on either side, or a one leg is going to be the most challenging. Remember, we're going to have our eyes closed during this. Now, the goal for the eyes closed is about 15 seconds if you're on one leg. If you have 2 feet equally on the floor, it's about a minute. All right. So you choose your position, hold on to your support. Choose, once you get that foot position, close your eyes and then lightly take your hand off the support. If you cannot take it completely off, go to a fingertip and just hold here. That's about 10 seconds. So when we close our eyes, we're taking away all the visual information that our body uses to tell where we are in space. That's about 30 seconds. So if you're doing a one leg balance, you're good. I'm just going to keep going for anybody who's doing two legs. It's about 45 seconds. And that's about a minute. Go ahead and open your eyes if they're not there already. If you want to note that for yourself, you totally can. Our next assessment is going to be more of a dynamic balance. So we had static balance, that's just standing in place, but who here spends most of their life standing in one spot? Nobody, right? So we're going to do a dynamic balance assessment. You will need a plastic cup, water bottle, something that you can reach and pick up. So I have both of those things available. The taller it is, the easier it is going to be to do. I'm going to show you the movement and a couple of variations and you can decide. Now for this one, there's really no goal. It's really about for yourself, how do you feel doing it? So the movement, I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit. The movement's going to look like this. I'm going to turn to the side. I'm going to hold the cup in my hand. I'm going to reach and put it down on the ground. And then I'm going to stand up. And then I'm going to reach back and see if I can pick it up from where I got it and then stand back up. Now you'll notice one of my legs is coming off the ground as I do that. That can actually help you lean over and get it. If you don't want your foot to come off the ground, you can also do that with your foot staying on the ground. Now, the further you can reach it out in front of you and pick it back up, the better your dynamic balance is. If you need to, though, if reaching to the floor does not work for you, then put it on the seat of the chair, right, as another option, or use the edge of the chair to help you as you set it down. So you've got a little support. All right. So I'm going to let you pick, and I want you to try in front of you. I also want you to try out to the side, right? And just for yourself, see what that feels like to set down the cup or the water bottle or whatever it is you're picking up and bring it back up, right? Do you have to touch your foot down as you're coming back up or coming back down? And remember, this is not, I always try to remind people, balance practice is not about perfection. Because if you are not stumbling, if you are not having to put your foot down and touch at some time during my classes, then you're probably not pushing to that challenge enough for you. Okay, so take a break, relax for just a second. You can move that out of the way. All right, so that was just a little bit of dynamic balance practice, just to give you a sense of where you are in that kind of movement. All right, I want you to come back and have a seat. We are going to do some foot warm-ups. I want you to get where you can hold on to your own foot. That might mean putting it on a footstool. It might mean putting it up on top of your leg like this, or going down to your foot. And just give yourself a little bit of massage. I love for people to practice balance with bare feet. And it's something that's great about Zoom. You don't have to worry about it. You're in your own house, right? You don't have to worry about anything you might worry about taking your shoes off with someone else around. Make sure you get underneath in the arch of the foot, the heel, and spread your toes out, almost like you're fanning a deck of cards. So our feet are the foundation. They are where we make contact with the ground, and they're responsible for a lot of the sensation, the proprioception, right? Our awareness of where our body is in space. And they spend a lot of time, especially in cold Minnesota, this time of year, locked up in socks and shoes and getting very little stimulation. All right. Take time and switch to the other foot, do the same thing over there. There's really no right or wrong way to do it. Just kind of give yourself a little massage, a little rub. feel what you feel. Spread your toes apart. Another thing you can do is actually put your finger between your toes. This is where I need my second camera that goes close. You could even, some people, I do this sometimes, you can even interlace your fingers in between your toes and give yourself a little circle around. Our toes and then being able to move in lots of ways is super important to our balance. And it's one of those things that has really uh, been limited in most people in our modern day, right? You just don't walk around barefoot and your feet are cramped a lot of times in tight shoes. Okay, go ahead and put your feet back down on the ground. I'm just going to tilt my camera a little bit. We're going to do some tapping of our toes. So just flex your feet, lift your toes up, and then just tap them down on the floor. Almost like you're tapping your toes to the beat of some music. So while we're doing this, we're also working this front of the shin, this muscle that's responsible for lifting our toes up as we walk. All right, could you do it a little faster? You might feel this heating up or even feeling like, oh, it's burning a little bit. Okay, relax for a second. Let's do the opposite. I'm just going to turn to the side so you can see we're just going to lift our heels up and lower down. Now, the closer your feet are underneath your knees, the higher you're going to go onto the balls of your feet and the more bend that's going to happen at your toes. So I encourage you to bring them in as much as you comfortably can, really letting that bend happen where the toes come into the metatarsals there. Okay. Good. Great. All right. Relax for a second. We're going to do a little bit of what I call toe yoga. All right. So I'm going to bring my computer down so you can actually see what's happening here. You're going to look down and tune in to your feet here. You can do one foot at a time, or you can try both. If it's not happening with both, then just focus on one. I want you to lift up all your toes and then spread them out as much as you can and then lower them down to the ground. If it feels like you can't move your toes, that's okay. That's very normal. Let's try it again. Lift up, spread, and lower down. Now, I want you to try to just only lift your big toes off the ground. Keep the rest of them down. And if they don't want to do that, you can help it out with your hands. You can either push down or you can pull up with your fingers on the big toes and then lower that down. Now try the other version. You're going to keep those big toes glued down to the floor and lift your other 8 or your other 4 if you're doing 1 foot. All right, we're going to try that again, lowering the toes, pick up the big toes. Make sure when you pick up the big toes, you're not rolling out like this and getting a space under the ball of your foot. You want to try to keep that down and then reverse it. Big toes stay down. Other ones come up. Again, make sure you're not doing this to make it happen. You don't want to have air underneath those pinky edge side of your foot. And then relax. Go ahead and wiggle your feet a little bit, wiggle your toes, wiggle and squiggle. Awesome. All right, I'm going to make this adjustment. I want everybody to come on up to standing. So toe yoga is one of those things that if you could take one, well, I'm going to say this multiple times, but one thing I could tell you to do for improving your balance is doing that little series, rubbing your feet, moving your toes around like that. Really great for your balance, right? A lot of balance problems happen when we just don't have a lot of sensation and a lot of mobility in our feet. Now, another part of balance that you probably don't think about too much unless you have a problem with it is your vestibular system. Every connecting with balance class, we don't just focus on mobility movements or strength movements, but we're also thinking about how to activate our vestibular system, how to work on movements about that. So, inner ear, moving your head while you are standing and trying to balance or trying to move through space changes everything. So we're going to start with a really simple call out. So this is a great way for your to work your vestibular systems. Now, I want you to choose a position, kind of like we did when we had uh, the eyes closed balance. So you're either going to stand feet apart. This is the most stable, together on that kickstand stance, or even on one leg, depending on your ability right now. I'm going to call out a direction. It might be right, left, down, up, tilt right, or tilt left. And whenever I call out one of those directions, I want you to snap your head that way as if somebody called your name and you're looking that direction. You're going to hold it for 5 seconds. All right. So choose your position that you're going to stand in. If you need to, at any time, you can have your hand on the chair. Just try to use it as little as you need to make it possible. All right. Just look out in front of you and left. Snap your head to the left. Hold it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let your head come back to the center. All right. Up. Hold it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it back to the center. If you notice this isn't hard enough for you, you never are feeling any wobbling, change your position so it's a little harder. Right. Snap it and hold. 5, 3, 2, 1. Bring your head back to the center. Left tilt. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Bring your head back to vertical. Down. 3, 2, 1. Bring it back up to vertical. Right tilt. 3, 2, 1. And back to vertical. Okay, relax for just a second. Shake it out. Especially if I tend to, when I'm working on balance, sometimes I'll clench up my hands or tighten up my arms or my breathing, and I'll notice that after I finish. We're going to do one more round of that. If you were doing a one leg or a modified one leg kickstand, then I want you to try it on the other side. If you were doing a 2-foot stance, try to do that again, or maybe challenge yourself a little bit more. Take your position. Let's do left tilt. So that snapping of your head is making the canals and the fluid in there move. Bring your head back up to center. Let's look down. Hold it. And then bring it back to center. Let's do right. Look right. And bring it back to center. Look up. And bring it back to center. Look left. And bring it back to center. Left tilt. And bring it back to center. Good. Okay, relax again for a second. Okay, we're going to switch now and do a little bit of vestibular ocular reflex training. So that is just the way that your eyes and brain communicate while you're moving to keep your vision locked on a target in front of you, right? When we're moving, we don't typically, if everything's working right, we don't get blurry vision. Our eyes don't move around all over the place. They stay focused on what we're looking at. So we're going to practice that. The way we do it is to hold something in front of you. We're just going to use our thumbs today. You're going to look at your thumbnail. So you're going to hold it up right about eye level. Now, if this is uncomfortable for you for any reason, you could pick something to look at, right? I've got this thing on the wall. I could look at one of the letters, something that's eye level. You're going to hold your thumb there. And let's just start with our basic stance, feet underneath your hips. You're going to turn your head a little bit to the right and then a little to the left, keeping your eyes on your thumbnail and keeping that target clear. Meaning, don't turn so far that you get blurry or that you only see this out of one eye. Now, the faster you go with your head, the more challenging this is for that reflex. And then relax, okay? Maybe you do it with the other hand the next time. Maybe you try a more challenging position for you. And this time we're gonna go up and down instead of side to side. It's the same focus. You've got your thumb up here. You're looking at your thumbnail. And your head's going to go a little up and a little down and a little up and a little down. You just keep doing that. If any of these vestibular exercises make you feel dizzy, please stop, have a seat, or if you feel too unstable to do them standing up, just do them sitting down. If you want more challenge, you can do it faster. And then relax. Okay. That exercise is really awesome. We do it in lots of different positions. You can actually do it with your head tilted. You can do it while you're moving through space. If you join me for my 12-week session, we typically go through an arc of exercises where we're not doing the same exercises every single day, but we're working on the same facets of balance. We've talked about mobility a little bit, and we've talked about the vestibular system and the visual system. So now we're going to do purely eyes. You're going to stick your thumbs up. I'm doing it about 18 inches apart, so a little wider than my shoulders. Both thumbs are going to be up, and my head is going to stay still. My eyes are going to look over to the right thumb and then to the left thumb. Back and forth between the two, and I want you to really see it clearly. Sometimes we'll even do this holding a piece of paper with a letter on it, right? The more specific and the smaller the thing is that you're looking at, your target, the more challenging it is. The other thing that can be challenging is picking up the pace. So you could imagine your eyes going to the beat of a metronome. We were using a metronome last week in our class. Or if you can hear a clock ticking like I can in my space. And then relax. Blink your eyes a bunch because you probably had them open for a long time there. So vision exercises are really important as well, especially in today's life, right? I was certainly on the computer for hours and hours today working. So my eyes were focused forward, right? I wasn't requiring my eyes to look around and see all the things in my surroundings. So that's one of the reasons we do this practice. We also do it in different angles, right? On diagonals, up and down. These eye movements without your head moving, that it can be really great for working those muscles of your eyes. You might even feel those muscles feel tired right now. All right, last little vision vestibular exercise we're going to do is actually a vestibular ocular reflex cancellation, meaning our head and eyes are going to go together with our arm. So you're going to choose your position, just like we did before. More challenging is the more on one leg. You're going to hold up your left hand. You're going to go up to the left diagonal, follow your hand with your head and eyes, and then bring it back in front of you. Then you're going to take it out shoulder height, bring it back in front of you, take it diagonally down, and back in front of you. We're going to do those three again, exact same three. If you want a more challenging position, take a more challenging position. The other thing you can do to make this more challenging is that fast head snap and hold, right? Just like we did when I was calling out, you can go quickly down and then come back. All right, relax for a second, maybe blink your eyes. We're going to do that series on the other side. So the right hand is going to be moving up to the right, shoulder height and down. We're going to go through it twice. Choose your foot position. Look out in front of you. Head and eyes go together, following your thumb as you go up to the right, and then slowly back in front of you, shoulder height, and down. One more time through on your own timing. If you want more challenge, do it a little faster, but make sure you hold it out in that side position. Good. When you finish that, relax, blink your eyes. Good. All right. We are going to move on into some strength building exercises for the lower leg. And I want to remind you, if I am going to have some time for questions at the end, if anybody comes up with a question, feel free to write it in the chat if you think you might forget it, or if you have something specific to this movement, something you don't understand about what I'm doing, You can also unmute yourself or type it into the chat, and Pam will let me know. So the first move we're going to do here for strength is our calf raise. This is going to be a straight leg calf raise. I want you to hold on to something. Right now, I don't want you to focus on balance. I want you to focus on strength. If your chair is a little too short for you, like mine is just a little too short, you can hold on to the wall. Both feet are hip width apart, toes pointing forward. Lift your toes, spread them out, lower them down so you got that nice wide base of support, and you're going to lift and lower. So depending on your strength level in this movement, I mean, our calves are designed for endurance, right? Because they're moving us through life all the time, especially when we're just moving our own body weight. So we could do a lot of these. For today's class, I want you to shoot for about 15. You can count them yourself or I'll stop us. Make sure that when you go up, your heels are staying right in line with the middle of the ball of your foot, not rolling out to the outside or knocking in. And then relax, shake it out. You might feel some tightness back there. If you do, you can always give a little stretch, taking one heel back. We're going to do another set of those. If you want more, if you feel like you could use a little more strength building and this is okay for you, then you're either going to do up on 2 feet, switch to 1 foot and lower yourself on one, right? You'll do that again. Or completely on one leg going up and down. Remember, you have your hands on a chair. This is not about balance and being able to do that on one leg. This is about making one leg lift your whole body weight or lower down your whole body weight. So you choose what's right for you. If 2 feet is where you need to stay, that's fine. Do about another 15 more. If you're doing a single leg, go for 7 or 8. And then switch sides. And that's true whether you do the 2 foot up, 1 foot down, or the single up and down. If you feel it like cramping and you need to stop and take a break and stretch it out, that's totally fine. And once you're done with those 8 on each side, shake it out. Okay. So now we're going to do a little exercise for the other muscle in our calf group, right? We got our gastrocnemius, we got our soleus. Our soleus works a little more when our knees are bent. So I'm going to ask you to bend your knees, right? It's not a huge, I'm not doing a squat or sitting back, just kind of halfway between there. I'm going to hold on to the chair or the wall. I'm going to lift my heels up and lower down. And notice that I'm not straightening my legs at any point in this movement, right? I'm not standing up and straightening and then coming down. I'm trying to keep them bent. So that means your knees will go in towards the wall or in towards the chair, whatever you're doing. It might feel a little strange. All right, let's do 1 or 2 more. So our legs are already kind of tired, and you'll feel this in your hamstrings and quads as well. Stand up, shake it out. Ooh, I feel it. We're going to do 1 more set with the option to do a single leg, right? I'll show you what that looks like as you're relaxing and taking a break. It looks like kind of like that kickstand stance, but only the front heel is going to move. All right. Notice that my back heel is off the ground. That is going to change and make the stability a little more challenging. So put 1 foot forward, lift that front heel up and down, maintaining that bent knee position. If that doesn't work for you, then do the 2 feet again. After you've done about 8, switch over, put the other foot forward, lift and lower that front heel, holding on. Good. Okay, relax, shake it out. All right, we've got 1 more strength move, and this is for your toes, right? Our toes are very much a decelerator for our body going forward. When you think about it, if you just took a little step forward and you didn't take another step, right? You can feel your toes press down into the ground to kind of slow you down from falling forward. So we're going to work on that. I want you to stand facing your chair or your countertop. so that you just almost can touch it, right? Look down at your feet, lift up your toes and spread them out as much as you can and lower them down to the ground. This is where that toe yoga really comes in handy because you want to be able to do that without using your hands so that when you're standing, you can get it. Now, keeping your body straight, lean forward, almost like a ski jumper kind of feeling. And you might touch the back of the chair here, but don't rest there, right? If you can, see if you can make it so light that you could pick your hands up off the back of the chair. Your toes are pressing down like mad into the floor. If you need to keep your hands on there, that's fine. Don't pop your heels off the floor. So if you've gone forward enough that your heels have come off, ground them back down to the ground. We want to hold this for about 30 seconds. It should feel tiring. Toes pushing down, legs being straight and working. Try to relax your arms if they're not holding on, right? So they're not stiff and locked. And then come back to your vertical, woo, and then relax for a second. You might need to shake out or even wiggle your toes around a little bit. So this, I think it's called anterior falling envelope. I might be wrong about that, but that distance you can go from vertical to leaning forward without falling forward is key in balance training and preventing falls. So we're going to do that same movement again. If you are able to do the lean forward without touching the chair ever, great, do that. If you need to put your hands there first, then take your hands away, that's fine. Look down, lift your toes, spread them out, lower them down to the floor. Body is nice and straight and long, lean forward. Hold it there. Feel those toes pressing down into the ground. They're doing what your body is meant to do, which is slow your momentum down forward. Make sure you're not bending at the waist, right? You want your hip bones to be closer to the back of the chair. I'm just going to move my arms forward so you can see that, right? Leaning from your ankles, we call it in Pilobolus. We do this all the time. We're leaning with a partner. About another 10 seconds. And then relax. Wow, that can be really tight. And again, the fact that I'm saying like, oh, yes, you should try in your balance practice, whatever it is, to get to that point where you feel fatigued, to where you feel like you're being challenged, where you feel a wobble happen, because then you know, okay, I am pushing my personal limits within the safety, but I'm pushing to that point where I'm going to actually make changes. All right. We're going to talk about how this movement, this lean forward, can actually work in real life. So I'm going to ask you, well, watch me first, but we're going to move back away from the chair a little bit. You might even not need to use it, just depending on your body. We're going to do that same lean forward. And then we're going to go too far so that one foot has to step out and catch us. And then we're going to try to hold there. So all these leg muscles are working, our stability side to side, and then you're going to come back up to standing. So you can have the chair, and the next time you go forward, I want you to step forward with the other legs. You lean, go too far, step, catch. If you need to, you can use your hands on the chair and then come back up and stand. Keep going with that, just alternating the feet. I'll show you from the front as well. The goal here really is to feel that fall. I want you to feel inside your body that moment of like, right? Try to simulate that for yourself because I want this balance practice to cross over into your daily life. That moment where you hit the curb with your toe and then you step forward and you have to catch yourself with your leg. We're trying to practice that in this, in your own home, in the safety when you can plan ahead. The catch, the holding, that's your isometric hold. That's your endurance. That's building strength in the leg to catch you. Okay, take a little break for a second. Now, when we do, we're going to do another set of those. When we do this class within the series, do this exercise within the series, we don't just practice falling forward, right? Or leaning forward. We might practice leaning in all the different diagonals, right? And then practicing what happens if I'm tipped backward and I have to step and catch myself. Or if I'm leaning this way, my leg has to crisscross over the front. What if your cat gets behind you, right? And you have to do a weird step back. I'm really trying to every time create exercises that translate from what really happens as best we can out in the world so that we're prepared for that. Not just for doing a pose like tree pose in yoga, which is a fantastic move. I love yoga. I'm a yoga teacher as well. But this doesn't do much for me out in my day-to-day life. It makes me very good at doing tree pose. So if you have, I can see people moving already. If you haven't started back already, just try a few more where you are leaning, falling, catching yourself. If you want more challenge, the longer you wait, the bigger the step is, right? The harder that landing is going to be. So if you want more challenge, doing that is a way to make it more challenging. Okay, relax. All right. One last little thing that we always do in all of our classes is remember our assessment when we had our eyes closed? We do some practices with our eyes closed. So I do want you to have your chair or your support, your wall, countertop nearby. And we're just going to practice some of these movements that we've done in class today with our eyes closed because it's such a different sensation. Another, if you feel uncomfortable with your eyes completely closed, doing a half closed, right? That will limit your vision. Vision is something that is giving us tons of information that our body is using to balance and to regain balance when we've lost it. So the goal here is to take that away. So we have to use our proprioception. We have to use our vestibular system more. So I want you to just start in a simple stance, feet underneath your hips, have something next to you so you can feel comfortable, know where that is, and then close your eyes. Notice how you feel here. If you feel totally comfortable and you want to take your hand off, you can. If you want to go halfway in between, maybe just have a fingertip there or hover your hand over the chair back. And all we're going to do here is just do some head turning in this stance. Your head's going to turn right and left. And you're going to go back and forth, right and left. If you already can sense in your body that this stance maybe isn't this challenging enough for you, go ahead and change it. You already know some of the options. Narrower feet makes it harder. That kickstand stance or even a one leg stance makes it harder. And then instead of going side to side with your head, go up and down, right? Like you're saying yes. Anytime you need to touch the chair, or if you're trying to do a more challenging stance, maybe you're trying to stand on one leg and that toe needs to touch down, don't worry about it. That is good. If you're wobbling, then good. You are in the right place of challenge for yourself. And then relax, tilt your head side to side. Wow. To me, that one is way more challenging than the other ones. Maybe because I don't practice it as much, but also because your head is going off vertical. So that weight, all that, what do they say? Your head's like 13 pounds or something like that. Okay, relax. Open your eyes for just a second. Okay. The next move we're going to do with our eyes closed is just that little bit of a lean forward. Now, this time I actually want you to have your hands touching. We're not going to do a lean and step. We're just going to do a little lean. So close your eyes, lift your toes, spread them out, put them down on the floor, and then lean forward and feel that sensation. And then see if you can lighten up to your fingertips or even take your hands away and hover. What does that feel like? How is it different than when you had your eyes open? And then come back to neutral and open your eyes. Good. All right. Wow. Okay. The time has flown. Let's take a little stretch back, especially for these calves and legs and hips that have been working so much. Take one foot back and press it, that heel down to the ground. So if you got a straight back leg, bent front knee, you can use your hands on the chair. Let that calf muscle stretch. And then let's switch over to the other side. And then come all the way back up to standing. Turn to the side. Let yourself get a little side bend over. If your arm can reach up and over your head, do that. If it can't, you can just leave it on your side and still stretch that side of your body. And then come up, turn around, do it on the other side. And then come back up to the top. I want you to take a seat on your chair and open your legs out wide and lean forward. Maybe your elbows rest on your knees, or maybe your hands could walk down further, closer to the floor, or even resting on your legs a little further. If you feel comfortable doing it, let your head drop down towards the ground. And then roll yourself back up to sitting. And then for the hips, let's take one foot up and over, letting that knee open out. Now, if your foot doesn't go up over your knee, stretch that bottom leg out and crisscross it down below your knee. Goal is just to have that turn out, lean forward. And then let's switch it over to the other leg. We don't really think about it, but especially doing one leg stance, we're working all these muscles that surround the hip. Of course, that you felt the calf, the direct work of the calf. You can also, in this position, give yourself a little massage there, especially if your calves feel tight after that work. I didn't say it on the other one, so you'll have to go back and give yourself a little calf love on that side. And then last little stretch here, let's turn our head to the right. Drop your chin down towards your collarbone and then reach your left hand away. You might grab underneath your chair or even tuck your hand behind your back. We're just trying to increase the stretch on the left side of the neck. I tend to tense up in my neck, especially when I'm working on things that are challenging to me. So I always feel like a neck stretch is good to do. All right, let's relax and turn to the other side. Look to the left. Chin drops down towards your collarbone. Reach your right hand away. And then relax. Very good, everybody. I'm so glad you came and joined us here at the Happiness Hour. I hope you're feeling happy. But I am totally happy to answer any questions you guys might have. As Greg said, we have a session that starts April 5th. It goes 12 weeks. It's every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So for those of you in the Central Time Zone, it'd be 9. And I do record every class and I send it to everyone, whether you were there live or you couldn't make it. So if something comes up and you can't be there live, you can do the recording and you do get to keep those recordings. So I always encourage people to, since class is only once a week, do it on another day. Maybe do it on Tuesday to have another balanced practice in there. It's one of my favorite things to do. I certainly have noticed in my own self, my balance and stability improving. When I'm not teaching the class, I can tell I'm not practicing, right? So it's really great to do on a regular basis. As Greg said, do it now for 20 years from now, right? Because when it's you don't want to wait, right? You want to start now, like all of the primary care, right, Greg?
Emily, this is so amazing. it's kind of true primary care is what we do for ourselves. It's never done for us. But wow, this has been great. I don't think my lower legs have had such great exercise in a long time. And I thought, oh, this is exactly what I need for the the skiing that I hope to do
Yes.
soon. And I'm thinking, oh, those moguls are going to be much easier now.
Yeah, that's right. That's
But
right.
but thank you so very much. I hope there's lots of questions.
I did have a student who has been my student for probably about 2 years, and I had asked for some feedback, right, so that I could help share with other people. And she wrote me this testimonial that said after having chemo, she had neuropathy in her feet, and that she does report having better sensation and better movement ability in her feet. And for her, I think she credits that to spending time working on it, thinking about the ways her feet are moving, trying to get sensation, like all that warm up that we were doing, rubbing our feet, spreading our toes apart, lifting the toes, and separating. That work is helping regenerate or helping reconnect her to that part of her body where she was having numbness before. Um, how physiologically that's happening, I'm not sure, but I do know, we have these maps of our body in our brain, right? That where where is your hand? That's how you know where your body is at all times. And sometimes they can get smudged, right? When you have an injury, you have something going on, the map of your body can be smudged in an area where you're really not able to see it so clear. It's like I love the word smudge because it's almost like the glass on the window is a little unclear and your body just can't see it that clearly. So doing things, right, very specific and kind of reminding your body of those parts. I took a great course with a wonderful teacher that I study with. She actually was a Pilobolus dancer formerly and now is this amazing movement specialist. And she had partnered with a preventative neurologist to do a program called Brain Gains. And they talked a lot about those cortical maps of your body. And we did a lot of like dry brushing, right? Just stimulating hands, fingers, arms, lower leg, toes, lips, tongue, like everything, just to try to really strengthen those maps. So it could be some of that as well.
Emily, this is fabulous. You taught us all kinds of new vocabulary like toe yoga and you have, at least in me, awoken muscles in my lower legs that I never thought about. And as someone who assesses balance in clinic and things, you just open up whole new perspectives for me about what is going to be meaningful for people. And this is fabulous. I am so grateful for you
Good.
sharing with us today. And I'm so grateful that you're opening us up to the nation on April 5th for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's been my pleasure.
Fabulous. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And in May, we'll have a happiness hour on the subject of finding our own narrative and working with that with award-winning journalist Jill Patton, who's now also a health coach, working with NPM as well. So look
Thank you,
forward to
Greg.
that and look forward to you all having a great day today. And
Yeah.
so
See you next time.
Thank you.